live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.
Benny Ricciardi is here to break down the day's betting board for you.
Let's go, Jerry. Go!
Taking a first look at the day's bets, it's time for the FTN Betting Show. Welcome to the FTN Bets Cast for Monday, April 11th here on FTN Bets. It is a very important Monday here as the NBA regular season ended yesterday, and we have our first glimpse of the post-regular season odds for all teams to win the NBA championship. The NBA playoffs technically don't start until tomorrow. We're going to have the 7-8 play-in games in both the East and the West being played on Tuesday, with the 9-10 games being played on Wednesday, and then the consolation game to see who the 8th seed is going to be between the winner of the 9-10 game and the loser of the 7-8 game in both conferences. That's going to be on Friday, with the actual NBA playoffs with 8 teams in the East and 8 teams in the West going at it. Going to be starting on April 16th, I think, is the scheduled start date for the first games here. We'll have plenty of time to go through the individual games on the days that they're played, but what I wanted to take a look at today is the best price we can find to win the NBA championship on each team, with all the books being put together here. As you know, whenever you're looking at a championship that has a bunch of different teams that are listed, different sites are going to have some of those teams listed a little bit higher and a little bit lower. So on all those sites, if you take the best prices and put them all together, you could actually get the hold down in the market, meaning the juice that you have to lay in order to bet on it, if you're finding the best price on each. And that's what I wanted to do with you guys today. So we're going to start over in the West. We're going to go through every team in the West and look at where we can find the best price to bet on that team to win the NBA championship. And then we'll go over and take a look at the East and do the same thing there. So let's start with the West. The number one overall seed in the NBA and the team with the best chance to win the NBA championship, according to the odds, is going to be the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are 250 to plus 275, depending on where you look. Plus 275 being the highest price we can find on them. Points, Bet, Sugar House, Bet Rivers, Unibet, all have them at plus 275. So if you're looking to get money down on the Phoenix Suns, definitely make sure you get over to one of those sites and, play it on that book. The number 2 team based on the odds is actually the Golden State Warriors, who are sitting at plus 1,000 on BetMGM right now. The Warriors are actually the 3 seed. They had a first round matchup with Denver. And then if they win that, they'll go on to take on Memphis, and whoever winds up winning the 7 and 8 game on Tuesday is going to be the other side of that bracket that they would have to face in order to get to the finals in the West. It's interesting that Golden State is actually a shorter price than the Memphis Grizzlies, who are the 2 seed here. If those 2 teams do happen to meet in the second round, it'll be interesting to see, because based on these odds that we're seeing here, it looks like the Golden State Warriors would be favored over the Memphis Grizzlies, which is interesting. Memphis being the 3rd team in the West when it comes to the odds, plus 1,600 to win the championship here. You can get that on Sugar House, PointsBet, or Unibet if you're interested in getting some money down on the Grizzlies. The 4th team here is going to be the number 5 seeded Utah Jazz, plus 3,000 on Unibet and Sugar House. Technically, the Jazz, the Denver Nuggets, and the Dallas Mavericks are all plus 3,000, depending on where you want to bet them. If you want the Jazz, plus 3,000 is the best price. Like I said, Unibet, Sugar House, Bet Rivers, where you can get them at 30 to 1. Denver Nuggets, also 30 to 1 here. You'd have to play that, though, on DraftKings or Caesars. That's where you can get them at 30 to 1. And then the Dallas Mavericks, also 30 to 1. You can get that on DraftKings and also on PointsBet. PointsBet has them at 30 to 1 as well. So the 4, 5, 6 seeds right there, Utah, Denver, and Dallas, all sitting at 30 to 1, depending on what site you're looking at, if you're looking to get the best price on those teams in the middle there. That brings us to the Los Angeles Clippers, who are actually a shorter price here to win the whole thing than the Minnesota Timberwolves are, which is interesting and surprising to see. The Clippers, the best price you can get on them is plus 4,000. PointsBet has them at 40 to 1. Caesars has them at 40 to 1. That's where you can play those 2. The Minnesota Timberwolves, who actually are the 7 seed and play the Clippers for that play-in game right there, are probably going to be an underdog in that game, because the best price I can find on the Minnesota Timberwolves is 110 to 1. You can actually get them at plus 11,000 here, which is a big number. And that's on DraftKings that you can play them over there. They're a little bit shorter odds on some of the other sites there, but DraftKings has them at 110 to 1 here. And like I said, with the Clippers being a shorter price than Minnesota, it looks like the Clippers are going to end up being favored in that game against Minnesota. We'll have to see when those numbers come out. The New Orleans Pelicans are 500 to 1 to win the NBA championship. You can play that on DraftKings or Sugar House if you want to throw $1 on it and get 500 to 1 on your money. And then the Spurs are 100 or 1,000 to 1 to win the NBA championship. Best price you could find on them is over on DraftKings, plus 100,000 for the San Antonio Spurs if you want to get some money down on them to go all the way to the championship. So that wraps it up for the West. Let's take a look at the East now. Milwaukee, the 3 seed, is actually the shortest price to win the NBA championship coming out of the East. They're plus 550 on both DraftKings and BetMGM, plus 550. Best price you can get on the Milwaukee Bucks. They are the shortest price of any team in the East to win the NBA championship. The second shortest price is actually a team that's going to be in a play-in game on Tuesday, and that is the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn is plus 700 on Unibet and BetMGM to go all the way and win the championship here. I do think there's a little bit of value on that number. I like the Nets at plus 700. I know people are like, oh, man, how could you like the Nets? They have a tough draw. Everybody has a tough draw here. The Nets are going to have to play. If they win, they play the Boston Celtics. If they lose and then win the second play-in game, they would end up playing the Miami Heat. I don't think either one of those are going to be easy series for the Brooklyn Nets, but those are 2 teams I think they can beat. And if they beat either one of those teams, then they go on and play the other teams that we're talking about here that are right there with them. Teams like, let's see, if they're the 2 seed, they would probably play Milwaukee in the second round there. Again, if you want to win a championship, you got to beat Milwaukee. We could have the championship game going on in the second round over there while Miami takes on, I don't know, Philly or Toronto on the other side of that bracket. It looks right now like everybody is expecting that to be the way it goes. It makes me a little nervous, though, because the Nets are the second lowest price. And then the third lowest price is going to be the Boston Celtics. You can get the Boston Celtics at 11 to 1 over on FanDuel, plus 1,100. Those 2 teams, to me, have the toughest path because they're going to have to beat in order to make it to the, just to make it to the finals and then have to play whoever comes out of the West. The Celtics and the Nets are going to have to, one of them is going to have to knock off the other one in the first round. Then they're going to have to go knock off Milwaukee, who is the team that most people think is going to win the East anyway. And then even after they knock them off, they're still going to have to get into a series with probably either Miami or Philly or Toronto in that 1-4-5 seeds there in order to go on to even play in the finals. So you may have to, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you may have to knock off the number 2, number 3, and either number 1 or number 4 seeds in your consecutive series after making it through some kind of play-in game in order for you just to get to the finals right here. So I know they're 7 to 1. I know Boston's 11 to 1, but those are the 2 teams that I'm looking at as, man, that is the toughest path anybody has to get all the way to the finals because they could wind up going the distance in all those series there. And that could be a lot of games and a lot of wear and tear and a lot of beat up guys going into a finals against a team like, most likely the Phoenix Suns. So the number 4 team, when we talk about the East, is actually the number 1 seeded Miami Heat. They are plus 1,200. You can get that number on PointsBet and on Caesars. 12 to 1 on the Miami Heat. Listen, I like this Miami team. I think people are sleeping on them. One of the things I always talk about when the playoffs roll around is you have to be able to score and you have to be able to stop people. So when you're looking at points per 100 possession, you really want those teams that are going to be in the top 10 or very highly rated, not only in points that they can score themselves per 100, but also limiting their opponent. Because if you're going to win in the playoffs, you got to be able to win those games when it turns into a shootout and gets up into the 120s. And you also have to be able to win those defensive struggles where, both teams are hovering around or slightly below 100. So let's see. The next team after the Miami Heat is the Philadelphia 76ers at 14 to 1. You can get that on DraftKings, Sugar House, Unibet. Now, I stop here for a second after talking about the Philadelphia 76ers because we talked about the Bucks, the Nets, the Celtics, the Heat, and now the 76ers. Those 5 teams are all 14 to 1 or less to win the championship. And that is the group that I think most bettors, most sports books, most sports basketball fans in general think is going to come out of the East here. Because when you look at the teams below that, the 5 seed and on down, the Toronto Raptors, the Chicago Bulls, the Atlanta Hawks, Cleveland Cavaliers, Charlotte Hornets, those teams, there is a massive difference between the 14-1 and below that you're getting on the top teams in the East, and then the, I don't know, what is it, 80-1 and above that you're getting on those last couple teams here. So massive gap between 14-1 for the Philadelphia 76ers and the next team that we're going to talk about, best price we can find on Toronto Raptors, 80-1. So you go from 14-1 to 80-1. So these teams at the bottom in the East, nobody's really giving more than a 1 or 2% chance to do anything here. Toronto is 80-1 on DraftKings and on Caesars. That's the best price you can find on them. They are the 6th best team in the East, at least in terms of, chances to win a championship and the odds that you can get on them. The Chicago Bulls are 100-1 on DraftKings, FanDuel, and BetMGM. Best price you can find on them. The Atlanta Hawks, 180-1 over on DraftKings. Cleveland Cavaliers, 250-1 over on DraftKings. Best price you can find on them. And then the Charlotte Hornets are 500-1. PointsBet, DraftKings, Caesars, Unibet, Sugar House, Bet Rivers. A lot of places you can get those Charlotte Hornets at 500-1. Very good young team. I love that core. I still think they're a couple years away, though. I don't think they're ready to do it here. So there you go. That wraps it up for the NBA championship odds to win the NBA championship here. Remember, first games for the play-in are starting on Tuesday. We'll be here Tuesday. We'll talk a little bit about the individual matchups and the spreads there. Games on Wednesday, the 9 and 10 games in both the East and the West. And then Friday is going to be the games between the loser of the 7-8 game, the winner of the 9-10 game. The winner of those games on Fridays is going to end up as the number 8 overall seed and have to play the Phoenix Suns and the Miami Heat, respectively. The Memphis Grizzlies and the Boston Celtics are awaiting the winners of those 2 games on Tuesday. That'll be their matchups there. And when we get a chance, we'll come back probably Thursday in between there. We'll talk about the matchups. We'll talk about the series prices. We'll get you guys all the information you need to know to bet on the NBA here. So we're going to take a quick break and come right back with a little bit of MLB action here on the FTN Bets Cast. And welcome back to the FTN Bets Cast for Monday, April 11th here at FTN Bets. We talked a little bit about the NBA championship odds in the early segment. Now we're going to get into today's MLB action. As you guys know, what we like to do here is we're going to go through every game, talk a little bit about the pitching matchup, talk a little bit about the money line and where we can find the best value on either side of the game, and kind of walk through the slate today. So let's start with the first game, the Cleveland Guardians against the Kansas City Royals. Let's see, Savali on the mound for Cleveland, Hernandez on the mound for Kansas City. This is a pretty even game right here. You can get Kansas City as low as -110 on BetMGM, -115 to -120 on a lot of the other books out there. But you could also get the Guardians at -102 is the best price I can see on them. So not exactly a coin flip in this game, but not far off from it. Both teams are at minus money. Best price on Cleveland, -102 on FanDuel. Best price on Kansas City, -110 BetMGM. Next game up, we got the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Let's see in this one, you're looking at the Cardinals around the -200 favorite on most books. You can get it as cheap as -195 on Unibet, Sugar House, and Bet Rivers. So if you're looking to play the Cardinals, those are the places to go. It's -200 on BetMGM. Everywhere else is higher than that. On the Pirates side of this game, you can get as low as 165, as high as 176. There you go. It's 175 on Caesars, 176 on FanDuel right now. So FanDuel, best price to bet on the Pittsburgh Pirates. This was actually one of my best bets of the day. I got this one in early. I took the St. Louis Cardinals -1.5 at +110 over on DraftKings. It's +106 on FanDuel, +100 everywhere else. I just feel like the Pirates offense is really, really bad. I know they scored 9 runs yesterday, but in the first 18 innings of the first 2 games, they only managed to put together 2 runs. So I'm looking at yesterday as more of the outlier and the first 2 games more of what we're going to see and expect from this Pittsburgh team this year. -1.5 at +110. I felt like that was just a little bit too high right there. So I took the Cardinals -1.5 +110, my best bet of the day. The next game I want to talk about, the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Baltimore Orioles here. Milwaukee on the road, big favorite, minus 160, minus 170, minus 158. Best price we can find on them. FanDuel is the place that you can play that at minus 158 if you're interested in the Brewers. The Orioles, plus 134 to plus 143. Unibet, Bet Rivers, Sugar House, plus 143 there. Plus 140 on Caesars. It's in the plus 130s basically on the rest of the legal books. Let's see. We got the Colorado Rockies taking on the Texas Rangers next. This game is in Texas. Texas as a home favorite. Best price we can get on Texas, minus 132 on Sugar House and Bet Rivers. If you want to be on the Colorado side of this game, best price we can get on Colorado, plus 116, and you can find that over at FanDuel. Next game up, the Boston Red Sox taking on the Detroit Tigers. Let's see. Ooh, this is basically a pick 'em in this game. Let me look at the pitching matchup here. Why is this one a pick 'em? I didn't look at this one yet. Waka against Manning in this game here today. I still would think that Boston deserves to be favored in this game. And they are the slight favorite here, I guess. They are minus 114 on Unibet is the best price I can find on them. Minus 120 is basically what you're paying in most other places. BetMGM has it at minus 115. So minus 115 BetMGM, minus 114 Unibet, best price on the Boston Red Sox. The Detroit Tigers are like minus 105, minus 103. You can get a few even money places on the Detroit Tigers. Even money on PointsBet, even money on Caesars, plus 102 FanDuel. Best price we can get here on the Detroit Tigers today, taking on the Boston Red Sox. Next game up is the Oakland Athletics and the Tampa Bay Rays. Oakland is a big underdog in this one. Plus 180, plus 185, plus 195 on DraftKings. Plus 195 on DraftKings. Best place you can get the Oakland Athletics here. Tampa Bay, minus 225, minus 240. Let's see, Caesars, minus 222. Best price out there in the market. Most other books have this at minus 235, minus 240. So minus 222 on Caesars, pretty nice edge on what the rest of the market has. New York Mets against the Philadelphia Phillies here. Phillies big favorite here, minus one. Well, not a huge favorite, but pretty decent favorite. Minus 160, minus 152 on FanDuel, best price on the Philadelphia Phillies. For the New York Mets, plus 120, plus 135, plus 140 on Caesars, best price you can get. A lot of plus 130, plus 135s out there in the market. Caesars plus 140, best number. Let's see, Toronto Blue Jays, New York Yankees. And remember, if you guys are looking for these numbers, get over to FTNBets.com. You look up at the top, there's something that says odds. You click on the odds, you go down to whatever sport you're looking for, NBA, MLB, they're all the NHL, they're all listed there. You click on what sport you want, and it'll give you all the numbers from all the sports books that are available in your state. I am in New Jersey, which happens to be the state we have the most sports books in this tracker for as well. So I always use New Jersey as my default. There may be some better prices at a couple books that aren't available in New Jersey that I'm just not seeing here. But for the most part, I got about 8 or 10 books on the screen here that I look at. So that's where I'm giving you these numbers from. So anyway, let's talk about the Toronto Blue Jays and the New York Yankees here. This game is a pick 'em in some spots. Little bit of an edge one way or another in some other books. So we have, let's see here. Unibet has the Yankees at minus 109. So if you want to bet on the Yankees, Unibet, best place to get that. Minus 110, minus 115 on most of the other books, so not much of a difference there. And then the Toronto Blue Jays at Bet Rivers, you can get Bet Rivers Sugar House. You can get the Toronto Blue Jays at even money, plus 100. They're as high as minus 110 on BetMGM and PointsBet. Low as even money on Bet Rivers and Sugar House if you're interested there. Washington Nationals and the Atlanta Braves. Best price I can find on the Braves, minus 165 over on DraftKings, minus 175 on most of the other books out there, a few 170s mixed in. For the Washington Nationals, plus 155 on Caesars, best price I could find, plus 145s, plus 150s at the other books. So not a massive difference, but Caesars does have the best number, plus 155. That brings us to the Seattle Mariners and the Minnesota Twins. Seattle is a road dog here, plus 116 on FanDuel, best price, plus 105, plus 110, what you're seeing on the other books. On the Minnesota side of this, almost everybody has this around minus 135. There's a few minus 130s, and then BetMGM has it at minus 125. So best price on the Minnesota Twins, minus 125. BetMGM, minus 130, minus 135 at the other books out there. Next one up is the Miami Marlins taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Let's see here. The Angels, minus 150, minus 145-ish. Oh, there is a minus 140. Minus 140 on Unibet. Best price on the Angels here. Minus 145, minus 150 is what you're seeing elsewhere. So not a massive difference. If you want to be on the Marlins side of this game, minus 118 to minus 120 is what you're seeing most places. Minus 126. Oh, I'm sorry. Plus 115 to plus 120. Plus 126 over on FanDuel is the best place to play the Miami Marlins today. And that brings us to our last game of the day. The San Diego Padres taking on the San Francisco Giants. San Francisco, home favorite, minus 140 range, minus 150s. What's the best price we got here? Minus 145 on BetMGM and PointsBet. Best place to bet on the San Francisco Giants today. If you're on the Padres side, if you like the Padres as underdogs here today, Caesars at plus 130 is the highest price. Plus 120, plus 125 is what you're seeing at most other books in the market. But Caesars having it at plus 130 is the best price we can get. And there you go. That wraps it up for all the MLB action today and where you can find the best prices on each. Remember, if you're looking for those deposit bonuses and the best deposit bonuses for all these books, get over to FTNBets.com/sportsbooks. The link is actually posted on the page right here, wherever you're listening to this podcast, but FTNBets.com/sportsbooks. And if you're looking to get into some more of the stats, some more of the graphs, some more of the charts, and the picks from all of our experts in MLB, NBA, NHL, MMA, and every other sport that we offer over at FTNBets.com. Use promo code Benny. It'll save you 20% off on any package. You can get it cheaper. Give yourself a little bit more money to bet with. And with that being said, this is Benny Ricciardi signing off for the FTN Bets Cast for Monday, April 11th. Good luck, everybody.
Live from the new sports betting capital of the world.
You might be from Texas, but I'm from New Jersey.